What's going on, guys? Michael Elliott here. I started my AI process and journey with zero code background. Never written a bit of code in my life. Couldn't tell you what anything meant. And for 95%, 98% of the flows that you make, you won't need to understand them. That's why Make.com exists. I now run multiple seven-figure companies because of my power in automation. And Make.com is the power of all of that. It's what makes up all of that. Now, there are many options out there. Make.com, N-A-N. Frankly, no business cares what tool you use. They just care about the hours that they could save from their tasks which are crippling their business and productivity, and ultimately their revenue. So that is what you are selling. As an automation specialist, agency, whatever you are selling the ability to be able to shrink down the manual time that a business takes to do X task and make it more efficient. Because you make them so much money by doing so, that is how you will be able to charge the retainers. I've closed personally 4 5-figure deals this week using automation. So, businesses are out there paying people for this. It's something that you should 100% be confident about and not afraid of if you don't have any background inside of Make.com. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through Make.com's dashboard for you, okay? And frankly, 95% of this dashboard I never use, okay? You'll see here I'm on a pro plan, 40,000 operations a month. This, in terms of what it can actually provide you with, it showcases to you active scenarios. Yes, it does. But realistically, managing teams, users, your subscription payments, apps that are installed, variables and scenario properties. I don't think I've ever clicked these tabs to go through this. I haven't ever installed app. Opus Clip is a tool that I use for clipping shorts. This is not something that I've ever used. Okay, so you don't have to be flustered by the platform. Don't stress about the platform at all. There's 3 key areas that I would probably point you towards. The first one, which is the most important one, is scenarios. Scenarios are where all of your active automations live. Creating a new scenario will bring you to a page that allows you to build a scenario from scratch. Okay? And that is the basis of what you're trying to do. You will be building new scenarios, some that speak to one another as you go further down your journey, some that are standalone, probably some that are extremely basic and save hundreds of hours, which is the goal of the automation industry is to create basic flows as basic as possible that allow you to go out there and save a business 200 hours a week. And if you can do that, you're not paid for the number of modules, which this is what this is called. If I had a Google Sheets module here, and I'll just pick one of these, I'll go through it in a moment. This is a module. If I right click and click add, that's another module that is now connected. Let me just add another Google Sheets module to show you. These 2 modules are now connected to one another. Okay? You can unlink, they're not connected anymore. You can drag, they're connected. You can drag it away, they're not. So this is where the magic happens, if you like. This is where the magic happens from a scenario perspective. But there are a couple of areas that I want to go through with you in terms of the interface. All of these things, data structures, data stores, I never use them, hardly ever use them. I think I've got them in one flow for a client for a specific reason. Forget about them. Keys, webhooks, connections. And the reason I'm saying that none of this really matters here is because of the fact that you can create all of your connections, you can create your webhooks, you can build all of your automations out from inside the scenario page. So actually inside of here itself, you can create the connections with all of these individual apps and platforms. That's the power of it. It's no code. So don't confuse it by going elsewhere. If you're new to this, stick to the basic connections, and I'll run through some examples with you live, okay? But what I wanted to point you towards first was the template section. The template section inside of Make.com is not probably going to be usable in terms of a saleable asset. In some cases it can be. It's probably not going to be usable in terms of a saleable asset, but it will help you along your way understand. And if you use these individual flows, look, you can see these are the two modules. It's giving you a nice, lovely graphic that showcases to you how it works. It watches emails, and then it adds to a row in Google Sheets when the email is received. Okay. If we go back to templates, if we look at this now, you're going to have your own individual tech stack as an individual user. Okay. You might use Airtable. If you use Airtable, just search for Airtable, and you'll see all of the individual templates that exist from an Airtable perspective. You can generate voiceovers with 11 Labs for WordPress articles and upload to Airtable. You can send data from a webhook to Airtable. You can automate responses to business emails with ChatGPT and Airtable, which is here. Now, there's so many individual tech stacks. You can also double them up. So if this has an integration between Airtable and HubSpot, you can see that these are the two templates that are available. But as a beginner, I strongly advise that you have a little look through the template system, import some templates into scenarios, connect them up and make them work. Do basic ones, like that one, the response to an email, business emails with ChatGPT and Airtable. That would be a really basic one. Google Sheets is another one. Google Sheets is what I use the most. But what you'll find that the same logic applies to the majority of modules inside of Make.com, that from one sort of app to another. That's why it's no code and it's brilliant. You don't need to be an understanding of codes. Effectively, all you have to do is connect these sexy little modules together and push them into a solution that solves a client issue. Okay, so the template section is important to go through. Now, in beta, Make.com do have AI agents. AI agents allow different scenarios to speak to one another. They allow you to condense individual agents around specific areas of a business or for a business that you can be used. And I do use these agents. But for your particular journey and to showcase the simplicity, right, I'm not going to touch them today. They are still in beta. And I think that our focus should be on the actual interface itself. Before I dive any deeper, what I'm going to explain in detail here is that when you are selling an automation service, you need to laser in on understanding the business's problems and what their issues are. You are not selling the technical structure and setup. You are not selling how you've used a template from Make.com. You're not selling how you've added 15 modules together to get said outcome. Or for later on down the road, using routers and using filters in between modules and stuff like that. You're not selling any of that. And that's the beautiful thing about Make.com, because you're selling the time saved from manual tasks for a business that are often worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions to them over the course of the next 5-10 years. If they thought about doing that manual process themselves. Think about if every time an inquiry came in, you had to add that inquiry to your CRM, so your HubSpot, let's say. You have to add that. Well, if you automate that for a business that gets 1,000 leads a week, all of a sudden, you've saved their sales team X hours. Always look at the problem and not the solution, especially when you're talking about the pitching and the sales of this to the inquiry, because it doesn't matter how you get there. What matters is that you deliver saleable flows, solutions. You're providing solutions to businesses. That is all you are doing. How you do it makes no difference. I don't speak to clients about the specific techniques. At the end of a project, I'll always give them an overview of what is happening. But they don't care about how you do it. They just care about the results that you ultimately drive. So really do not stress over that, because this is one of the most simple tools ever. And I'm going to just showcase to you now in this build. I'm not going to connect everything up and have it fire. This is not a live build, although I'll probably do something with a Google Sheet at the end. This is not a live build process, but I'm just going to show you like a live example of something that would happen. So let's say a business is using Typeform. We search for Typeform and we use the watch responses option, because this is a trigger and this watches instantly. So we can see that actually whenever a type form is submitted, the scenario is going to run. That's what that means. And when I click it, you'll see exactly this trigger. This trigger is a lightning bolt, which means that it's instant. Okay. Now, if I just quickly delete this and we choose a Google Sheets module, okay, and we have update a row. Well, the update a row module is now a clock, and that clock you can set to run at regular intervals, run it once, so it never runs again, every day, a specific day of the week, days of the month, on demand, specified dates, whenever you want to. But every time you do this, you're going to use something called an operation. Okay? And the whole platform of make.com is built off of operations. You'll see that here, so far during this plan, from my own personal make.com flows, there's been 5,479 operations used. So you'll build per operation. What you don't want is, you don't want a situation to occur where you're not using immediate triggers, so it only triggers when the action happens, like someone submits a type form, and you're running the module every 15 minutes in case something has changed inside of like a Google Sheet, like I just said, watch rows or whatever, like update a row, or I don't know, delete a row, or update a row, anything that generally like add a sheet. You don't want to be searching for this to add a sheet every 15 minutes and then using variables later down the funnel. You don't. So that was the explanation between this trigger of what it is. So I'm going to use type form, okay? And let's say we're watching for responses for when a form is complete, okay? So I've got a webhook. I'm going to save it, but you won't have that. In fact, I'm not even going to do it for the sake of the video. I'm just going to showcase this to you. Let's say the business that you've got has a type form that's submitted, and it wants to update a row in Google Sheets once that inquiry comes in. So when they want to update a row in Google Sheets, they then want to, what do they want to do next? They want to add it to Google Drive. So we want to create a folder in Google Drive, let's say. We want to create a folder. Then we want to, is there anything else that we can do in here? Create a folder. We can do things like upload a file. But let's not go into that. Create a folder inside of Google Drive. Send an email. So it sends a new email. That email can be to the sales rep or whatever. Okay, and then finally, let's say it's HubSpot, and we want to create a custom object record or whatever. Create a contact. This flow that we've got right here is a saleable flow. There will be many businesses out there now that are using Typeform, that currently use Google Sheets or Airtable, that then create a folder inside of Google Drive that sends an email to their sales rep, i.e. assigns them, okay, and then creates a contact. There will be businesses out there that do that, okay? That is a saleable flow, literally there. And all you have to do to make them work is add the connections. There's specific pieces of information, and I will do a Google Sheets module at the end to showcase to you. But I'm just trying to show you a flow. You've just connected 5 individual platforms in one. Can you imagine the amount of time that can save? Let's build another one. Let's keep building this flow, okay? Let's add a new module, and let's choose this to be. So we've created the contacts in HubSpot. The type form has been submitted. Google Sheets row has been updated. We've created a folder. We've sent an email to the sales rep, and we've created a contact. Now, let's say that this Google Drive folder or type form had something inside of it that meant that we wanted to send it based off of a specific variable. there is something called a router. You see, now what we can do is if we hold shift and click, we can grab these two modules. You can see it because of the spinning wheel. We can copy, we can paste, we can unlink this, shift that, and connect. So one of the most wonderful buttons inside of make.com, doesn't this look a little bit ugly on the screen? It's a bit aligned from where I am, it's not central, you know, I'd have to move it. Well, there's an auto align feature that auto aligns your flows and that allows you to be able to see them clearly exactly as you want them to be and in order. Okay? So we've now got a business that still has a Typeform, Google Sheets, Google Drive, and then an email, but there's two separate routes that this can go. Now, let's say you're working with a digital marketing agency, and this Typeform can have a service inside of it. Okay, we're not going to see the variables directly, but we can set up a filter on this that says SEO, and then let's say we choose answers. Let's say it's a long text answer from let me just check in the field section. Yeah, let's say it's a let's just use type for now, but there are different types of text. So if text contains SEO, save, then as it comes through, the form is submitted, it's added to Google Sheets, it creates a folder in Google Drive, and then it routes it. And if, I think, what was it we used? Was it the name that we used? If the name is SEO, it sends an email here, then adds a HubSpot contact. Well, if we've added another filter here, and we said PPC, pay-per-click, okay? And we said that the I can't remember exactly what it was that we used now. Answers, long text, contains case insensitive is important. That's an important little trick for you for filtering. It should always be case insensitive. But let's just say it contains PPC. Now, what happens here is, what you've just built out for a business is you've built out a flow that has a type form, submitted, updates a row in Google Sheets and creates a Google Drive folder so everybody can see it, or not if you set the permissions. But then it routes, and you might want to send this email for an SEO inquiry to Matt at SEO.com. And you might want to send the PPC ones to mattppc at ppc.com, whatever. You can see how you can filter these flows out and make them expansive. And if we continue on this journey, so we've had an inquiry, okay? So then let's say we add another module and we add this and we search for deals, and let's just add the search for deals module to HubSpot. If you're not familiar with HubSpot, it's fine, but I'm just showcasing something to you here. Search for deals. You search for a deal. You check that deal has been. You set the criteria inside of your HubSpot connection to whatever. It could even be the incorrect module for search, but deals inside of HubSpot are effectively when you'll have a deal for an individual company and it can move along different stages. And let's say it got completed. Let's say the deal was complete. So the inquiry's come in, it's been added to Sheets, it's gone to Google Drive, it's been routed through SEO to Matt, it's created a contact in the CRM, it's then search for deals. This will probably be another flow. Search for deals. Then you end up in a flow with, let's say it's a Panda doc. I'm going to delete this module because it's not the correct module to use as the next step there. But we've created the contact in HubSpot. And let's say we want to send it a Panda doc. We search for Panda doc. And we we create a document. We create a document. I'm just going to shift click and copy and paste just because it's quicker. Create a Panda doc. We then send the email. We create an email. We send an email which says that a new client is onboarded to the sales team. Now, and let's hit all our line. Now we have a full onboarding flow for a business built out inside of make.com. Yes, HubSpot CRM, creating a contact. The business would probably want more than just the contact created. You can create deals. There are so many individual options that you have inside. Let's take a little look if you're interested. HubSpot, add members to list, search for CRM objects, delete members, create a custom record, create or update a contact, get a contact, search for contacts. You see, you could have this, you see. So like in another flow, I'm going to give you another example. In another flow, we might start this with a module that you see watches deals. So that could be a trigger. But search for deals. No. Add a module. Search for HubSpot. Search for contacts. Okay, we search for contacts, and we set the parameter inside of the contacts as anybody who, obviously we can't do it because we haven't got a connection, but you set the search contacts parameter for people who haven't been contacted in the last 3 days that fall into the inquiry category. Okay, well then we send them an email, and we also send them a LinkedIn message. Send DM, whatever. We can do anything. There's so many modules. We can update another Google Sheet. Append a row, update a row from this. Last contacted row in a Google Sheet. But removing this and focusing on this, okay, that right there, with some tweaking, is something a business would pay you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for. If their onboarding process is manual right now and they used all of these tools, you would be in a position where this would be paid for. So we have just built out, we haven't done the connections, but we've just built out a flow live in front of you just to showcase how automation agencies work and how you would be able to assist a business in its desire for maximum efficiency. Okay? So I think that covers the critical part of the video, which showcases to you the power. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to just show you a Google Sheets connection live, and I'm going to use ChatGPT alongside you to be able to do this. So we're going to start with a Google Sheet, and we are going to, let me just use this. So let's do this. I searched for this before, and what I said was, can you give a fairly long prompt for a ChatGPT module that creates LinkedIn posts? Okay, because what was inside of our prompt there, what was inside of our scenario there, was not anything AI related, which is why I did it that way. You didn't have to use any prompt engineering. You didn't have to know any code. You literally just connect them together. Right, and that is the way that you should look at the no-code platforms, especially make.com, because it's so brilliant. Okay, but I'm going to now show you how to use AI as a very basic process. So we've got these prompts, and I'm going to create a Google Sheets module that searches rows, and then I'm going to use a ChatGPT module that is a create a completion module. And I'm just going to click out of that for a moment while I add the final module. And the final module is going to be, we'll go back to the Google Sheets and update a row. Okay. So now we have the Google Ads connections. and my OpenAI connection. If you don't have the connection, this is the wonderful button that you click to add all connections to any module. Doesn't matter. If we go back into, what have I not got? HubSpot. And you click Watch CRM Objects, create a connection. Okay? That's why you don't go back to these tabs down here and create all of your connections. You don't need to. You can do it all from inside the scenario. But what we're going to do is we're going to search for a row in a Google Sheet. But I'm going to use ChatGPT to create me. Let's use this for LinkedIn posts. Can you now? Can you please provide 20 of the most hottest topics trending on LinkedIn around make.com? Please provide in a CSV file and ensure they are short and punchy. I want to use the topics to create LinkedIn posts in Make. Okay. So we have these. Okay. I wonder if this will just let me paste it. I'm trying to get it to deliver me into a CSV. Let's just go to sheets.new and let's just paste them. There you go. Okay, easier. You can get it to give you a breakdown, but we've got a topic here now. Spreadsheet, make.com hot topics. I want to centralize that because I'm a nerd. But we centralize it. We have this. Now, what we're going to do is, and I'm just going to create another header here, which is result. And this is going to be a really basic automation flow. The saleable tools are the ones I've just shown you, but this is going to show you a live action, the transferring of data and how you can manipulate it to give you an output for anything. LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You go through this, and if we go to make.com, actually, no, let's get rid of that sheet. One key thing here is, I'm just going to share this to make sure that anybody with the link can edit for future use, in case I decide to do something with these hot topics. But you can see the URL of the spreadsheet. You can go through this, select from my drive, search for make.com. Is that in the title? Make.com hot topics. Select from all. Anyway, this is what I was going to do originally. This is the habit you'll get into as well, I would assume. You go here, and in between the edit and the letter D, so you see the edits, the slash edit there, everything before that and everything after the D slash there, you just copy. Okay, so Command C or Control C. That's the spreadsheet ID, and we're going to give it a limit of 1. The sheet name is Sheet 1. Check the sheet name inside of the sheet. When you're working with client data, this might be, let's rename it, so like LinkedIn post, let's call it LinkedIn. Okay, then you would have to select that sheet. If we refresh, it'll update, and it'll be that, so it's LinkedIn. Okay, now we've connected this to that Google Sheet. There is no requirement for any filters. Does the table contain headers? Yes, it does. That's an important note. But other than that, you hit save. And if I run this module once, 1 second. Hit save. And I run this module only, sorry. It pulls back the topic, AI agents as 24/7 teammates. So it's pulling live from the spreadsheet. Great. That's amazing. So now what we want to do is we want to connect it again. And we want to use ChatGPT to complete an automation to produce a LinkedIn post that is 5 sentences long. Let's just say that, right? When you open a ChatGPT module, you want to create a chat completion. Let's do this. Add module, ChatGPT, OpenAI, ChatGPT, create a completion prompt. Select your connection, and then the model you can select any. I'll go for the O4 mini system. Be absolutely fine for this. Don't stress yourself too much about that. There are costings involved, so that, different models use different amounts of money. You might want to do some Googling if you're price conscious. But what's important here is that we actually look at this. Let me zoom out a little bit from there. Is that we actually look at these messages. These messages are what are key. So you have user, assistant, developer, and system. Those are the only three you really need to care about, to be honest. Now, the developer and system is if a robot woke up today, and I have used this before in a video, but I'm going to use it again. If any of you have seen the film Big Hero 6, where Baymax comes out of the box, me and my daughters do love that film, and it won't be the last time you hear me mention it. But when the robot wakes up, when Baymax wakes up, you put a chip in him. That is effectively the developer and system prompt is the chip that you're putting into your robot. So we want the developer and system and to give it some context. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. Can you give me I would normally write these manually, and as you get more experienced, you will want to prompt engineer properly. Don't use ChatGPT for all of your prompt engineering. Learn it properly. I've got another video on that you can check out. But can you give me a developer system prompt for my ChatGPT module inside of make.com that is going to write LinkedIn posts that are 5 sentences long. There's a typo in there. I'm just going to send it anyway, if it will allow me. Well, I don't want to play ball. Let me copy that and refresh. Send it now. Pretty good. Pretty good. A little bit long maybe, but pretty good. So let's head back to make.com, and in our developer and prompt system, we're gonna use that as the prompt. Again, this is not going to give you as a perfect output because it's a ChatGPT created prompt, but it does give you an idea of how you would write. You're a professional LinkedIn content strategist writing on behalf of a seasoned make.com automation expert with sharp technical edge. Your task is to write concise 5-sentence LinkedIn posts that highlight key trends, tools, or insights in AI automation or business process design. Each post should strictly include exactly 5 sentences. I'm not even going to mess with that. But use clean, avoid hashtags. The audience is technical operators who care about speed if contextually relevant. Do not explain the post. Just return 5 raw sentence LinkedIn post separated by line breaks. Always tie the concept back to AI. And then finally, and importantly, we're going to add a user prompt, and the user prompt is going to be a variable. Now, a variable is a piece of data that comes from, and I've just lost my prompt. Good job, we can copy and paste it back in. A variable is a piece of data that comes from a previous module, right? In this particular case, so let me just paste that back in. I'm going to leave it as it was. I did change it before, but I'm going to leave it as it was. And then I'm going to save it just so we don't end up in that scenario again. And then we're going to add a user prompt, and we're going to use the variable that is from the Google Sheet so that it can pull its information from somewhere. And the reason why, so we had a user prompt. A user prompt is us telling the agent information about itself, what it should do, asking the specific questions. Okay, so this is the topic from our sheet. Is it in row A, column A even? Yeah, it is. And that will now dynamically pull whatever's inside of that sheet on an ongoing basis. We've got 20 inside of here. Okay, it will pull those variables. If I just typed in this, it would give me an answer. Let's do it. Save. Unlink. Run once. It would give us an answer that is based around that one variable. Okay, so there's the result. AI agents are the first 24/7 teammates driving continuous workflow acceleration. They automate routine tasks. It's on point for what we asked it for. But because that's not a variable, it will only ever pull that. And it will give us variations. It might give us different variations of stuff. But it will always pull that one individual input. Whereas if we use the topic, it's going to pull it dynamically. And it's going to run through everything in that column. Okay, so we now want it to update a row. Oops. We now want it to update a row. So we go back, we grab the sheet ID. Again, we grab the sheet ID. We go back to make.com. We select enter manually. You stick this in. The sheet name is LinkedIn, is it? Is that what we called it? The sheet name is LinkedIn. And the row number is B, because that's where we want the output to be. Column range A to Z. And inside of the B column, inside of the B column that's the result, we need it to be the result of the ChatGPT variable there. Because obviously we need to make sure that the dynamic responses are also added dynamically to the sheet. So there we go. Let's hit save. Now inside of this module there's something called a limit, and I set the limit at 1. I'm going to keep it at 1 for now, but let's run this module once. See if it's broken. Who knows? It might be. If it isn't, then if it is, we'll find out how. And if let's have a look. Missing value of parameter row number, because the row number that I selected was empty. So row number, select the row number variable, run it again. I don't know why I selected B. It's because I needed it further down for the automation. Now if we go to our sheet, you will see that it's created the first AI agent LinkedIn post. Now, obviously, we've got 20, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to go back to make.com. I'm going to increase the limit to 20. I'm going to increase the limit to 30, just to make sure. Okay, save. And I'm going to run it again. And this time, it's going to run, and it's going to continue to run until we have all of those responses. We're probably not going to wait for them all. You can see how it's refired because there's no limit. So it'll go again and again and again. And I'll wait until it gets into a few. But whilst that's happening, what I've just showcased to you is a little bit about variables and connecting systems. But you can see how valuable it can be to leverage AI to be able to automatically create LinkedIn posts, put them in a spreadsheet ready to be posted on LinkedIn. Now, the only reason I didn't use the direct, I'll show you exactly how you should do that now, but the only reason I didn't is because I don't want posts going out onto my LinkedIn that I haven't checked. But I'll showcase it to you. I'm going to let this stop when it gets to 5, once the 5th is complete. There we go. And these little bubbles show the amount of outputs that they've had, but it also shows the amount of operations you've used. So 1 there, 6 there, and this is obviously price conscious wise. Operation 1 gave us this result. You can see both the input. You can see both the input that we gave it. So the content was AI agents as 24/7 teammates, and we can see our user prompt that we provided it with, and we can see the result that we received. And you can see that for every operation. So when you're looking through here, you can see that this is the case. So you can see there, like the result was hyper automation shift. The formatting's a bit off. You wouldn't want to post that on LinkedIn exactly like this. But I'm trying to showcase this to you. As you go through the individual, the outputs, you can see again in the inputs was our prompt, and was our content. Now, what we would do if we were let's do this, because this is going to teach you a little bit about prompt engineering. I wasn't going to do this. Can you give me an example of an exceptionally well-crafted 5-sentence LinkedIn post about make.com? So this is going to give me a post what it considers to be well crafted, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to go back into the OpenAI module, and we're going to add an assistant prompt in here, okay? And what this assistant prompt is going to do is it's going to... There are a few things I can teach you in this video that I wasn't going to go through, but an assistant prompt is the output that the robot should give us. When you use an assistant prompt, you want to be ensuring that what you give it as an example is high quality, because it will reference this. Most people use make.com to save time. Smart people use it to build leverage. We're then going to add a space. The real power isn't in automating tasks, it's in automating decisions. What did I tell you at the start of the video? When you connect your AI to workflows, summarizing Slack threads, tagging leads, routing support, I'll have to use a hyphen, don't like it. Bottlenecks. I'm basically just reformatting this. Nice to have. If your ops rely on memory, meetings, or manual updates, you're already behind. Save. Right, that as an assistant prompt. So if I go back into this document and I delete it, okay, and it might be Google Sheets that's doing the formatting of it, but in the output we will see it. This now should be formatted better because we've given it an assistant prompt. And once this is done, I'm going to continue to tell you how to make money using automations, which is what you're here for. So now let's just stop this. Let's see what the output was from ChatGPT for that operation. It still put out an output which was unformatted. We'd have to play with this specific system prompt. The point that the effort of the whole idea of this video is to showcase to you how I create 7-figure flows. I showcased one of them to you there that you can literally carbon copy for businesses on board, use the onboarding system for yourself, and I've also shown you how you can get AI to dynamically output social media posts. What you would really do in real life, if I was building this, is you would create a LinkedIn post, create a user text post, and you would post it directly to LinkedIn. But I don't want to connect my LinkedIn to this because I don't want those being posted, and that would automatically post on your behalf. It would literally pull from the column that's the result, and it would post it. The result, that it's not a column, the result, but the result from this module, it would pull inside of LinkedIn and post. So you have the ability to be able to see how you can streamline tasks, and this is just indefinite. Like, you can continue to go through some ridiculously long flows. Like, I'm going to discard changes here, but for example, Google Ads client reporting on a weekly basis. this, you can see this is a more sophisticated flow, which goes through individual reporting so that I understand exactly what's happening from a client's perspective, from a Google Ads report point of view. So you can see you can get granular, you can use iterators, aggregators, you can get into all that lovely stuff. We don't care about any of that, do we? Because all we care about is Michael Elliott explaining to you how you can build make.com flows and how your automation agency, your 10K, 5K, 10K, 15K, 25K, 50K months, 100K months are around the corner, and all you have to do is collect some beautiful little circles on a screen to one another and then sell the service to businesses and improve their operations. I am not some sort of crazy genius that is able to produce these flows. I am simply a man who understands that businesses have critical bottlenecks in terms of their processes and flows, and I use make.com primarily in order to be able to smash them out the park, improve hours of efficiency, and ensure that they're more efficient than they've ever have been. I have built everything from HR satisfaction flows to customer ticket implementations. You should not be scared of your automation journey. If you are a business, you should be using automation to leverage. Hit me up in the description below. Drop me a comment. Tell me if what you think to the video and your thoughts and requirements on what you need to see next from me. But if you don't believe that you can use automation to make millions, then there is probably no helping you at all.